Hello everybody and welcome back, and this weekend Europe is back. European rugby is back and it's going to be as competitive as ever, and I can't wait for it to begin. These videos I'm going to be doing my predictions for the Challenge Cup, which will be this video, and the Champions Cup, which will come in a couple of days time. So this one's going to be the Challenge Cup. It's going to be very competitive. Let's see what I have to say for my predictions. So we start off with Pool 1 in the Challenge Cup, which is Castres, Worcester, Dragons and NSA. Now this group is probably going to be quite close. I think it's going to be closer than most people expect. I think NSA will probably finish bottom. I think a lot of people would say that as well. From what I've seen of them, well, I haven't watched any of their games, but from what I've seen in terms of their fixtures and their results in past Challenge Cup games, they're quite good at home. So teams going over there might struggle. They might bring out a shock victory because, of course, home comforts, and they're in Russia, so they are probably playing better at home. But I just don't see them challenging at all away from home. I think they'll get battered away from home. So therefore, I think NSA will be fourth. But between the other three, Worcester, Dragons, and Castres, I think it's going to be quite close. And I think really Dragons might spring a surprise. They haven't been too bad this season. They've got a few decent results under their belt in the Pro 14, and they're looking in alright shape, better shape than they have done before. But then you look at Worcester. Worcester are going very well at the moment. They've pulled off 2 wins from 4 at the moment in the Prem. They nearly beat Exeter, so they're going very well at the moment. And I think Worcester should get through this group. I think Worcester will probably be favourites to get out of this one, and I think they'll get through. With Castres, they're having a bit of an iffy season at the moment. They haven't started that brilliantly. They're in the bottom half of the top 14. So realistically, it's going to be a very closely contested pool. But for me, I think Dragons might just miss out. And the reason I think they miss out is their team is just not at the level of a team like Castres or Worcester at the moment. Worcester are playing so well as a team at the moment. They don't have best players, but they're playing so well as a team and as a unit that I think they'll get through. Dragons aren't very good away from home. They don't usually play that well away from home, so I don't see them winning against Worcester or Castres away, and I fear that they probably will lose a home game in this group as well. So for that, I don't think Dragons will get through, so I think they'll be third. But I think Castres will come second. I think the start to their season hasn't been great, and they're not going to be filled with confidence going into this group, into this Europe. Of course, if they're struggling in the top 14, they're obviously going to be focusing more on that to help them a bit more. And therefore, I think Worcester will probably win this group, and I think what I've seen of them so far, they've been absolutely brilliant in the Prem, and I think they can continue that going on, and I think they'll top this group. It'll be tough. I don't know whether best second place will come out of this group. I think it might, but I don't know. But for me, I think Worcester will come top, Castres will be second, but it'll be on or off whether they'll get through as best second place. So yeah, for me, I think it'll be Worcester who will win this group, Castres will come second, Dragons third, and NSA will be fourth. We move on to Pool 2, which is quite a different group. It's Bayonne, London Irish, Toulon and Scarlets. Now, this one's a bit half and half, because you would think Toulon and Scarlets, they'll be top 2 easily, and you would think that. But looking at the top 14 at the moment, Bayonne are going quite well in there. They're doing really well at the moment in the top 14. And London Irish aren't doing too bad in the Prem. So there could be a shock in this group. You could see London Irish or Bayonne prove themselves and come through with a shock victory, but I don't know if I can see that happening. Toulon and Scarlets, they've got such good teams. They're massive in Europe rugby. Of course, they're two teams that really should be in the Champions Cup, but had struggles last season, so that's why they're here. That game between Toulon and Scarlets is going to be a cracker. But yeah, as I said, there could be a shock. London Irish or Bayonne could surprise some people and get through this group or get a shock win or something like that. But I'm not too sure. I think they will get wins and they may get a shock win. So Bayonne and Irish being decent at home as they are, they could get shock wins over Toulon or Scarlets. But in the long term of it, in this group as a whole, I just feel like Toulon and Scarlets just overpower the other two. I don't know which way it'll go, whether Irish will be bottom or Bayonne will be bottom, but for me, I think Scarlets and Toulon will definitely be the top two in this group. They're just way too strong and they're not doing too badly in the leagues at the moment. Scarlets are doing brilliantly. Toulon are alright. They lost their French players. They're back now, so they're starting to get back to full throttle. But yeah, I think those two will top the group. For me, the one that will go straight through and won't have to rely on a best second place finish is probably going to be Scarlets. I think Scarlets have enough to top this group. I feel like they've been the better team over Toulon at the moment. They have a very good team, and if their Welsh players are back for this game, which I suspect they probably will be, and with the fact that they've been going really well even without their Welsh players in the Pro 14, add all that Welsh core back and they're just a really good team. And so I think they just have it over Toulon. It'll be either or, because Scarlets will probably lose at Toulon and Toulon would probably lose at Parc des Scarlets. So yeah, it's going to be difficult to decide, but I think Scarlets might top it on bonus points, and I think they'll get through first, and I think Toulon will get through as one of the best second place teams. I think they'll get bonus points over Bayonne and Irish, and I think they'll go through as a best second place. So overall, I think it'll be Scarlets at the top, Toulon in second, getting through as a best second place, and Bayonne and Irish, I'm a bit undecided on whether they're third or fourth, but really I think Irish will probably be third. I think they've got enough over Bayonne, and I think Bayonne will be at the foot of the group. So, moving on to Pool 3, what looks like a very tightly contested group. Bordeaux, Wasps, Agen and Edinburgh. Now, I think this may come as a shock, but for me, I think there's going to be two teams who will get the top two spots here. And I believe that's going to be Bordeaux and Edinburgh. Now, Bordeaux have had a very good start to the season. They brought in a load of decent players as well pre-season. They've started top 14 well. They're in the top half. I can't remember where they are. I think they're third or second, somewhere like that. And they're going very well. They're a very dangerous side. And they're looking on hot form at the moment. And I feel like that they could transfer it into the Challenge Cup. They seem like a very good side. They've got very good players in there, and I feel like they're going to be the team to beat in this group. They're, for me, the best side in this group. Going on form from what I've seen from the other teams, they're definitely looking like the best side in the group. Edinburgh, they're looking very good as well. Of course, they're going well in the Pro 14, as they usually do. I don't think they've been a bit iffy so far this season. They haven't been brilliant by any standards, but they have been good. They've been decent. They've got through games. They've been going on a bit of form. They're winning games at least, and Richard Cockerell's doing well there. So I would expect Edinburgh to be up for the challenge here, because last season they were in the Champions Cup and they got into the quarterfinals, and this season they've pretty much still got the same sort of core and they're in the Challenge Cup. So I would expect them to do very well this season. I think they could probably end up being one of the favourites to win this competition, and I wouldn't put it against them to go and win the competition, to be honest. They're looking like a very good side with a lot of good players. So I expect Bordeaux and Edinburgh to be the top two. With Wasps, I just don't think they're good enough with how they're playing at the moment. They have only lost one England player, which is Joe Launchbury, throughout the start of the Premiership campaign to the World Cup, and whether that presence has really affected them, or whether that the start of the season is just how they're going to be throughout the season, because they have been far from perfect. They've shown signs that they're good, but for me I feel like they're just a load of individuals playing in a team, and they don't seem too much as a team. They make errors, they make mistakes, costly mistakes as well, but they can show some good signs. They have shown good signs. They showed it against Sale. They've shown them against other teams this season in the Premiership. They've been alright, but they can't seem to get over the finish line. They can't seem to grind out wins when they really need to grind out wins, and that could really affect them. Another point, I also think that they'll concentrate more on the Premiership, because if Saracens, of course, don't get that 35 drop in points, they're going to be one of the teams down there fighting for survival from form at the moment. And for me, I feel like that's probably more a thing that they need to concentrate on than the Challenge Cup. And with the way form's going, it looks like they're going to be in a relegation scrap. So for me, I think they will end up concentrating more on the Premiership, and that will cost them in this tournament. Hence why I just don't think they'll get top two. But I think they'll do well. I think they'll battle for it, they'll get close, but I just don't think they'll make it in the end. I think they'll miss out and probably be third. While with Agen, I don't think they're really going to compete, to be honest. It's another Wasp situation. Agen are going to be at the foot of the top 14. They're going to be struggling in that. They're fighting for survival. So again, they're probably going to be concentrating on that a bit more. Therefore, they're not going to put everything into this competition. Of course, they'll want to go out there. They'll want to win games, but I don't see them doing that. I think this group's too tough for them. They might pull off a shock result here or there, but I feel like this is just a bit too tough of a group for them to get anything out of. And the fact that they'll concentrate on the top 14 as well. Overall for this pool, so I think Agen will be at the bottom. I think Wasps will be third. I think Bordeaux will be second, and Edinburgh will be top. I just think Edinburgh will have it over Bordeaux. I feel like Edinburgh will really go for this Challenge Cup, and I think they'll really try and go out there and win the whole thing. I think they're going to be one of the favourites. So I think they'll edge Bordeaux and be top of the group. Whether Bordeaux get best second place, I think they might. Of course, you can't really predict who will get that. It depends, but I feel like they'll definitely be in contention, because I think they'll be very close to winning the group, but I think they'll end up second. And yeah, I think Edinburgh will top this group and go through into the quarterfinals straight away. In Pool 4 then, we've got Zebre, Stade Francais, Bristol and Brive. Now for me, there's one team in this group who I think will go all the way and win this group and go straight through, and that's going to be Bristol. With the way Bristol have played so far in the Premiership campaign, they've shown guts, they've shown heart, fight, the amazing attacking intent that they show. They've shown another dimension to their game that we haven't seen before in their tactical play. They've just seemed to step up a gear this year, and they're going to be a real challenger in the Premiership, and I feel like they'll go for this Challenge Cup. I feel like they could do really well in this tournament and go quite a way, because they're such a good team, and for me I feel like they just trump everyone else in this group, because everyone else in this group, they're not on the best of form, and Bristol just, overall, they're just the best team in the group really, and that's all I can say. They've been brilliant so far in the Prem, and I just don't think these other teams are gonna handle it, to be honest. With the other three, it's going to be very tight for who gets second, because they're all not doing too brilliantly. I mean, Stad recently have sacked their coach, Heinrich Meyer, so they're in a bit of disarray at the moment. Brive, they're going to be struggling near the foot of the top 14. I think they're in the bottom half as well, so they're going to be trying to fight for survival. And Zebra haven't had the best of form so far at the start of the Pro 14 campaign. So for me, I don't think any of those three will come out as a best second place. I don't think any of those three are good enough to reach the quarterfinals. I think Bristol will win this group easily. I think they should win all their games. But with the other three, it's so hard to put each team anywhere. But for me, I feel like Stad might get second. I don't think they'll get through. I don't think they'll be one of the best second place teams. But for me, I think they'll be second because they have the team. And sometimes bringing in a new coach can bring a new sense of energy into the squad. So you might see that. So yeah, I just think Stad will have just a little bit more over the other teams. But I don't think they'll get through as a best second place team. But I think they'll end up second anyway. With third, I'd probably go Zebra. I mean, it doesn't really matter who's third or fourth, to be honest. But I'd probably go Zebra. I think they have the better team over Brive. And I think their Italian stars will come through. But this pool could be tighter than you think, but I think Bristol will get through as the top team. It'll be a scramble for second place because of course you can get through as a best second place, but ultimately I don't think either of those other three teams will. So as a whole, I think the group will end up with Bristol winning it. Stad will come second, but not a best second place side. Zebra will be third and Brive will be last. Now onto the final group. Calvisano, Leicester, Cardiff Blues and Pau. Now, I don't know if I'm pronouncing Pau right. I don't really know how to pronounce it, so we'll go along with Pau. Now, of course, there's a semi-professional side in here, the Italian league team Calvisano, who got through winning the Continental Shield. Of course, they're going to be at the bottom. They're probably going to be the whipping boys of the group. They'll be battered in pretty much every game, but as I said with NSA, it's good experience for them to be with the professional teams and play against professional teams. It's always good for the semi-pro teams to play against big clubs. It gives them the opportunity to play professional rugby, so that's always a good thing, but there's no way that they're going to get a win, not with the quality of this group. So it's easy to say Calvisano will be at the bottom. With the other three though, that would be quite close, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a best second place out of this group because Pau are doing very well in the top 14 at the moment. Leicester, they're not doing too well in the Premiership, but they should have their England stars back now, and they have quality. It's whether they can get the quality players to produce quality rugby on the pitch, and if they do play at their best, they are dangerous. So I feel like they are challengers to top this group. And Cardiff Blues, they haven't had a great start to the season, but they also have quality players. I feel like they're in the same sort of situation as Leicester at the moment. As a whole, through form, I would probably go with Pau to top this group. But if you have a look at recent Challenge Cup seasons, they haven't had brilliant seasons. And I have a feeling Cardiff Blues especially, and maybe Leicester, will really target this competition. Leicester might want to target more the Premiership because they're going to be in a bit of a relegation scrap, but I don't think that's Leicester's ethos. I think they just go for every competition they're in and try to win every game. I don't think they're ever going to be the side who just lays back in one competition. I don't see them as that sort of side, so I think they'll fully go for it in this tournament. But it's whether they can get the best out of their players, which has been a struggle for them recently. They've struggled in the Premiership. They're a bit like Wasps at the moment. They seem to be a lot of individuals who aren't really playing as much as a team, and they've had a lot of poor results this season, and it's not a good look for a big club like Leicester. And they'll be wanting, they'll probably be wanting to do well in this tournament just to re-establish confidence and they'll want to get big wins in this competition. With Cardiff, they're in the same situation. They've got quality players, quality team, just not doing well enough at the moment in the Pro 14. I feel like they'll want to bring up confidence by playing well in this group and playing well in the tournament as well. And with Po, they're on good form at the moment, so they're coming into this with a decent run of games. They're playing well in the top 14, so it's quite hard to put them in their places. But I think I might just go on form, and I think Po are gonna top the group. Now, they may not have as much quality as the Blues and Leicester, but I think that they have the form going into the games, and being so good at home is useful, and having teams like Blues and Leicester who aren't confident at the moment, they can just go into those games against Leicester and Blues, especially away from home, and know that they can do a job because they're not very confident at the moment, those two teams. So I feel like on that aspect, I think Po will top this group. Now, for second, I think it's going to be Leicester. I think Leicester have the quality over Blues, and I think they'll want to show themselves in this tournament. They'll want to re-establish confidence, and I feel like they'll have that over the Blues, and they'll come second. And I'm going to put my head on the line. I think they'll be one of the best second place teams, and I think Blues, as much as they'll challenge, it'll be a very tight group with those three teams. As much as they'll challenge and as much as they'll try, I just think they'll miss out, and I just think they'll be third. So for this group, I think it's going to be Po to top it, Leicester second, Cardiff third, and Calvisano at the bottom. So that is my preview and predictions for the Challenge Cup this season. Put down in the comments below what your thoughts are on this season's Challenge Cup, and thank you for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and I'll see you in a bit.